So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Oscar Merubia, and I just wanted to acknowledge the sponsors for this research. They are the Janeway Children's Hospital Foundation, and then the Canada's NSERC, which is the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council. So today I'm going to talk about AR-NRP, and so I have to break it down. So MR stands for mixed reality, and NRP stands for Neonatal Resuscitation Program, okay? So, and then it also says that we have here like lots of acronyms. Like in computer science, we love a lot of acronyms. So the PPV stands for positive pressure ventilation, okay? So, but I'm going to explain those in detail. So, as I mentioned before, so one of the biggest problems for situations in the neonatal intensive care units is the problem of birth asphyxia. So every year, around more than 2.4 million babies die, like shortly after birth, because of birth asphyxia. So it's actually the second most important cause of mortality in newborns. So that's actually a serious problem worldwide. If you add the numbers, it becomes like a very large tragedy. So for addressing this, and there is something called a Neonatal Resuscitation Program, or it's going to be called here NRP. So NRP is a form of continuous medical education, and basically people who are neonatal healthcare providers, they are expected to be taking training in NRP. So, and this training takes place every 2 years. So, and the training includes things like learning how to do positive pressure ventilation, which I mentioned that was the PPV, chest compressions, intubation, administration of the volume and cardiac medications. And the most important item here is that training is required every 2 years to maintain the status as an NRP provider. So even though like 2 years is actually a long period of time. So if you had training, let's say 1 year ago, so you probably are not going to be very able to remember like the training, right? So in reality, skills have been shown to deteriorate even like from 6 to 8 weeks after training. So which is like pretty rapidly, right? And to address this, like it has been proposed that people has like refresher sessions in between the 2-year period, okay? And this is basically like where the VR NRP comes into play, right? So if we had the other problem with the accessibility to the traditional NRP training is that this training is in person, and it also requires the use of like mechatronic dolls, like they are kind of mannequins that actually are going to be used by the trainers and to test the trainees, the persons who are getting the status of providers. And basically, these systems are not cheap, and they are not available in every healthcare facility, right? So one of the issues is that people actually need to travel to the training place, right? So, and that makes it expensive too. So we developed this system called the VR NRP, and this is basically, I'm showing you here what was the original platform. So we developed it on the HTC Vive Pro, and so this is a desktop-based system. So we had a kind of like a gaming computer that was connected to the HMD. It comes with its VR controllers, and it comes with base stations that have to be mounted on the room. And it also, this system that was also using 3D trackers for kind of monitoring the position of the hands of the user. So this is a couple of pictures of the simulation environment. So we have the starting room where people just get familiar with the environment, just like with the controllers and how to navigate between the different rooms. So we have the tutorial room, and here's where people start practicing this positive pressure ventilation, the PPV. And then here we have the simulation room, and this is where people are confronted with the resuscitation scenario, okay? So, and in this scenario, they also have access to some of the information that are provided from the NRP course. So for example, here, this part where the baby is located, so that's called the warmer. And this part where you have the the diagrams, so those are diagrams that are part of the NRP textbook. So people actually have to go through a textbook to go and learn all the different aspects of the procedure. There is another part of the procedure that's called Mr. SOPA. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to compare if this VR NRP is, kind of like makes a difference with respect to 360 degrees VR videos. So here on this side, on the right side, we see an image from, like it's a snapshot from 360-degree recording of the NRP resuscitation procedure. So you get to see actual people being recorded doing the procedure, and that's one of the conditions that that the other participants were exposed to. So we compare that against like wearing the VR HMD. Okay. So, and then we evaluated a lot of items there. So we evaluated the sense of presence, immersion, user satisfaction, and then we wanted to figure out what were like the good and bad things about this. And also we also had this question about whether like we could have also haptic feedback and whether having haptic feedback will be useful to the simulation. So here is our experimental design. We had 30 participants. We divide them in two groups. So the first group here is 15 people that had first the 360 degrees VR video condition. And then after some tests that we did here, so then they tried the other condition, okay? So, and then the other group tried them in the reverse order. So both groups tried both conditions in different order because we didn't want to have any ordering effects. So before doing this, going into each of these sections, so first the people were doing a pre-test where we collected demographic information. After they did the first condition, then we did a post-test. So, and there we evaluated for the confidence and we evaluated for their sense of presence. And after that, we had an evaluation by video, so video recording evaluations of PPV demonstrations. They had to basically be recorded while they were doing this, and then NRP instructors will evaluate the videos and will assess whether the persons were performing properly or not. And these assessments, the NRP instructors, they didn't know if they were doing the VR or the 360 degrees, so they were blind to that. So after that, we basically switched the places, and then we did a post-test study where we evaluated satisfaction, again presence, and basically whether any people experience motion sickness. So here are our results. So first, like I'm going to present confidence. In terms of confidence, there was no statistically significant difference between the two groups, but you can see from the different plots. So we actually had a confidence questionnaire. So every box that you get to see there, so it's a box that addresses one of the different confidence questions. So if you see, like the confidence were ranked from 0 to 100, and these confidences are all like from 80 to 100. So, well, not all, but like basically the ranges are in the upper half, right? So maybe 75% and higher. So that was pretty good. People were feeling confident in their NRP skills, being exposed after either the one condition or the other condition. So that was a good news item. So it helps people build their own confidence. Then we also asked them about ease of use. We wanted to see if they found that the simulation was easy enough. And here we can also observe, so we asked this with a Likert scale that was 1 to 7, so where 7 was the most positive ranking. So here we get to see a lot of rankings that were close to the 6, right? So this will be here at the top, and so the medians were here on the 6. So again, there was no statistically significant difference between those two groups. So which is kind of also a good news item. So they were equally easy, the experiences. Then we also asked them about the usefulness of the system. And in this case here, so we actually have like stars that are marking for the questions where people had like statistically significant difference reporting of what they felt that was useful, right? So here we have question 2. So which is whether they felt that it improves their learning performance. And we have question 4, whether it enhances the learning effectiveness. So those were significantly better in favor of the VR, which is the lighter condition, so the one on the right side.
So then we also evaluated presence, and there was like a presence questionnaire, which is also standard presence questionnaire for VR. We actually reduced the questions because the questionnaire had like 32 questions, and we removed some of them because they were not applicable to both conditions. But these ones here that are mentioned on this side here, so those are the conditions that are statistically significant differences between 360 degrees versus the VR condition. And in all cases, in almost all cases, the VR conditions score higher. So which means that people felt actually a stronger sense of presence wearing the VR rather than just having the 360 degrees video. So at the end, we also evaluated for motion sickness, and I'm happy to report that people are actually, the lowest ranking was 1, and you see the medians here, the averages here, sorry. So the averages here are all around 1, and some people got sick, like some people, well, they did not get sick, but they reported like blurry, like foggy glasses, and maybe this was also because of COVID, because some people, like when they were wearing masks plus the VR, so then sometimes they will not be able to, sometimes they will fog up, like in terms of the glasses. So these are the results from the NRP instructors, the ones who were looking at the videos. And these two questions here, the question 7, so providing effective PPV, so that was one that was a better score for the VR condition, and also the one that talks about reevaluating the heart rate, so which is one of the steps. So those two conditions were actually ranked better. So these are just the demographics of the people who were taking our study. Most of them were nurses. Most of the nurses that came up, so they were female. So these are, you can see here on the right side, this will be for gender. So female, most of them were registered nurses, but we also had other people who were familiar with the NRP. And they volunteered to participate, and then most of them had, like say, 5 years experience in NRP, and most of them had the training within the last 2 years, so they were all kind of relatively familiar with the procedure. So now let's talk a little bit about moving towards the mixed reality. So the previous environment was like using the VR controllers, right? So, and in this case here, so we're moving towards using the MetaQuest 3. And so the advantages of the MetaQuest 3, it has many. So basically it has built-in hand tracking technology, which is going to be very good for the purposes of the positive pressure ventilation, because that's kind of what they're practicing their motor skills for that. Another nice thing is that they are wireless, so people doesn't have to kind of worry about the cable that came out of the Vive. It doesn't require a PC or laptop. You just kind of upload it into the device, and then you're good to go. So we can actually send it to maybe for training, like to a remote place, right? So this allows for training remote location. And it also is affordable. So nowadays you can go to Best Buy and get it for less than, I don't know, like $500 or something like that. So like many advantages, because the previous Vive, it was $2,000 Canadian, right? So, so here are some of the screenshots from the mixed reality transition. So we have here where people are starting to use here. They use a similar option to the HoloLens, where they basically get a menu from talking on the wrist, from tapping on the wrist, sorry. Then here is the setting up of the room. So the idea is that we are going to ask the providers to select a table where they're going to have an actual baby. So basically they have to kind of go and tap on the table, and then on that, after the tapping, so the virtual room will appear like surrounding that table, so that the baby is going to be on top of that table. So we want to give them the flexibility of choosing where they want to put that table. Then here is just a mention about the positive pressure ventilation and how it is very important for this scenario. And here we have the screenshots of how they will go about providing the positive pressure ventilation. So here you can see the hands of the person, and they are actually, these are their own actual hands. Then they actually grab the virtual bag, and then they start doing the procedure. So actually, like, this is physically what's happening, and then the MetaQuest kind of like gives us the skeletons of the hands, so we can actually know whether they're going fast or slow. We can actually tell them that they're going too fast or too slow, so we can actually give them some help in that regard. So some of this work is still kind of like not entirely mixed reality. So I had these items here for possibilities for future work. So we want to actually have tested with an actual back mask, like an actual one that they hold in their hand. So we're not sure if that's going to work because of the occlusion, right? So if I grab something, I'm not sure that the MetaQuest will be able to see what is behind that. So that's going to be one thing that we want to explore. And also mixing that with an actual mannequin, right? So will that make a difference if you actually have an actual doll that you're touching, right? So that's another interesting research question. So we're planning to go and run another user study for that, comparing mixed reality NRP versus virtual reality NRP. And we basically want to just try to improve this feedback in terms of whether they are doing it fast or slow or maybe too strongly. So these are some of our references, and I have a quick video that I can show you here so that you get a better idea. So here's where, like, this is in our lab, and that's the place where the supposed table is going to appear. So, and then when they say, okay, so those are the points where I will have the baby, so that's when the baby appears, so that's the avatar. Also, one thing that I didn't mention in future work is that you can start considering the possibility of having the avatar to be an AI agent that actually has more complexity to it, right? So right now, actually, it has AI voice, so it basically, and the gestures are also AI animated. So they, like, we didn't have an animator, so my student just basically like grab some animations and they put them together. So I'm just going to move forward here. I'll leave it here so to show the actual hands. Let's see here. And I want to show also, here's where the dialogue pops up. So this dialogue here, that's the one that is telling them whether they're going too fast or too slow. So if it's green, it means that they're doing fine. And after it's green for some time, the dialogue disappears, so it only shows up when people are doing it like too fast or too slow. Okay. So let me just think that that's it. So here is like just a couple of the procedures, and they also have like, for example, different steps that they have to follow. So this is the whole thing. So I don't want to take much more of your time. So so thank you, and if you have any questions, let me know, or you can also watch the video later.